Hello. I'm Mary. This is Mindfulness with you, and we'll continue our conversation from last time.
Thank
How,
you.
how are you?
Glad to be here.
Yeah. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very happy,
Uh,
very content.
how do you know that?
I get this from bodily sensations.
Aha, very smart, because this is what we're going to talk about. So I'm curious, when you're feeling happy, what does your body tell you that makes you aware? Oh, I'm actually in a brighter mood.
It's a very good question. Like anything, we need to train the antenna to receive signals.
Mm.
If you have a sensitive antenna, then you can receive very subtle signals. But if your antenna is malfunctioned or not working well, even a strong signal, you will not get it.
So let's assume that I am where I am. I think I'm actually not sure how big my antenna is. And if you ask me the same question, how am I feeling right now? I would say I'm feeling pretty happy. And the signs I can tell is I naturally will have a smile on my face. If I'm sulking, this is not happening. And another sign that I can feel is that my body wants to move a little bit. And I could feel the temperature in my palms is getting higher. And I'm likely like maybe to sweat a little bit. That might be mixed with nervous. But I think a natural sign that based on what I know now is that I will have a natural smile on my face. Is that a small antenna, big antenna, good enough to amplify and tone it up and down a little bit? I'm curious to hear what you think.
You have very good observations. So all these are observations. Let's not judge it's a big antenna, small antenna, good antenna, bad antenna. But overall, it's like a training. You don't have a very good palate unless you have tasted all kinds of, say, wine, right? So sensation is the same. So all senses in our body, it needs to taste. So it knows what is this, what is that. There's contrast. But in order to understand the contrast, we need to train this antenna system to understand what is a subtle signal, what is a strong signal. So this is why our bodily sensations is one of the foremost important foundation of how we deal with things, both internally and externally. First, we need to be aware. So the awareness coming from your signal, your antenna.
And I like that you mentioned the words like train many times. And also kind of to continue with our previous conversation, um, it's be aware. So if connecting these two together, train to be aware of what your body is trying to tell you so that at one point you can detect the slightest, the tiniest signals, the subtlest signals that the body is sending you. And that's good for regulating or observing more or trying to adjust, like switching moods. And I know that I'm getting more excited about if I'm well trained, what I will be capable of doing. But at this moment, given where I'm at right now, what are some of the things that I can try as like part of the training? And maybe we even need to take a step back. What are bodily sensations? What is it? Is it my body, like I feel hungry? Is that a sensation? I feel thirsty. Is that a sensation? I feel tired. is that a sensation? Maybe let's step back and explore what bodily sensations are.
Very good question, because bodily sensations are the things as the source. But if you say you're hungry, it's a feeling associated, generated from the sensations of your stomach. So being hungry is a state of feeling. Being angry is also a state of emotion. But when you have anger, your bodily sensations will be such, your heart beats faster. So you would feel the heartbeat as a sensation. And maybe your jaw gets tighter and your muscle gets intense. Those are the sensations in the body. But when you feel anger, that's the feeling, that it's the emotions coming from the bodily sensations that as a result, I mean, they are not one as a result of the other. They almost simultaneously happen, but the bodily sensations always generally comes first. And then when our mind start to react to our bodily sensations or the situations externally, we start to have these feelings, emotions, which is interpreted as a perception of situations happening.
It sounds like there's so many layers. We need to understand how our body works. And I think kind of our instincts, and that's how we survive as human beings for years, are the instincts that our body reacts to situations. And simultaneously, when we're feeling, let's say if we're facing danger, body will freeze, the hands will tighten, like we will suddenly go, oh, I can't move, but I have to do something. Maybe I'll feel like the creeps all on my backs. I think that's kind of like the bodily sensations, and body detects emotions way before everything else. And the mind quickly picks it up, and it maybe generates a level of emotions. And then later on, or maybe even at that moment, the brain is trying to interpret and understand what it means and trying to come up with a plan. So I think it's all kind of connected. And all I can say is our bodies are magic in itself.
Yes. And for that reason, right now it's quite popular to use somatic therapy, which means to use somatic movement or things to do with your body as a therapeutic method to heal emotional trauma, right? You can't use emotion to heal emotion. Maybe you can. I'm not a psychologist, but generally you use a different source, which bodily sensations are the source, and you can interfere your emotion with your bodily sensations generated. For example, if someone's very depressed, in a depressed emotion, the bodily sensation might just be like, oh, you feel sluggish. You don't want to do anything. Actually, your heart rate is very low. And you seem to be calm because it has similar sensations that you're like, ah, like that, right? But in the emotion wise, the feeling wise, you are very depressed mood, say in that kind of mood. And a lot of times, what you can use to elevate the mood is to move the body. Because once you move the body, your body actually creates chemicals. It also alters your autonomic nervous system from parasympathetic nervous system to the extreme when you're depressed to more active the sympathetic nervous system. So somatic therapy is like when you're very depressed, you really need to get up, do running. So that's one of the things. It changes your bodily sensations to alter things. So in our daily life, if we understand certain principles like this, and if we understand how our body works, we can actually manage and regulate our emotions through our body.
Move the body. Now I understand why, it's not just a concept. It's not just kind of something we learn. There's actually theory behind it, that get your body moving, get yourself moving, do a little bit, maybe just sit up from the bed when you were feeling depressed. And I remember those days that it happened to me, that I just didn't want to get out of bed, even sitting up, and then sitting up straight, breathe, feeling the hands on the bed linens, feeling my feet on the ground. That changes things now that I recall kind of the process. But even that little bit movement is changing how I'm feeling at that moment. So that's interesting. And I think we're kind of going into what we can do. What are the practices that can help us when we sense a certain mood? And now maybe we need to go back to the previous step, trying to, before we even know what's happening, what the emotions are at the moment, what are some of the signals we can pay attention to, so that we know, oh, my body is trying to tell me something.
Right. So we always say, listen to the heart, right? So heart is our the bodily sensations. Sometimes when you're happy, you feel your heart is like blossoming. It's just like feeling a sensation of opening without your control, right? Your body is very intelligent. It does things without your mind commanding. However, our mind loves to command our body. Which also means, I said earlier, if you're feeling so depressed in the mood, you get up. So our mind says, I should get up now. I should get up now. So this is also another way mind is commanding the body. But body is very sluggish at this point of time. The sensation of body is don't want to move. So now the mindfulness part of it is we can give loving compassion to our body. So instead of commanding it, I mean, that's one way. If that doesn't work, don't blame yourself. And be aware our body is also contains high intelligence. We need to listen to the body instead of say, hey, why don't you want to get up? You should get up. Instead, for a mindfulness practice, we say, let me feel how my body is feeling now. Let me detect which part of my body feels what. So this is the first thing. You train your mind to just ask questions. Which part of my body? You scan your body from head to toe, from the extremities, every part you can name. And once you name it, you actually bring awareness to it. So let's make a small exercise here. You can keep your eyes open or closed. We just do a small body scanning. Bring awareness to our body.
Let's do it.
So sit comfortably. You can close your eyes or keep it lower gaze.
Okay.
And first, pay attention to your cheeks, your face cheeks. And then move your attention to your jaw. Notice if your upper teeth and the lower teeth are slightly apart. And just feel behind your ears, maybe these big joints to hang your jaw.
Hmm.
Because sometimes if the portion of this part is tightened, it means something for your emotions, feelings, but now just detect the sensations of it. And now move your attention to your throat area. And then move your attention to your upper chest. And your shoulders. Now your arms. Now go to your diaphragm, which is the portion to your lower rib cage and your belly. And then sense your belly. Now we can stop here and open your eyes.
It's an interesting exercise in a way that, like you said, mentioned many times, just observe. There's no judgment throughout the process while you are guiding me through what parts of the body I can slowly pay attention to. You're not trying to tell me loosen the jaw, like loosen the cheek, like relax your muscles, relax your shoulder. Like there is no external instructions on how I should do at this moment at my body. It's just me paying attention to different parts and feel what I need to feel. It can be it should be, I think in my own observation of, oh, my shoulder is actually a bit tight. And it's funny when you mentioned the cheeks, I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was actually smiling when I was having the eyes closed, and the cheeks are up, and they're obviously they're tight a little bit. But then when you mention it, my immediate reaction was to relax it. But do I have to? Do I not following what my mind is trying to do? What at that moment, what should my body do? I did have that question across my mind. And then I returned to the concept is observe and don't judge. I think it's easy to bring judgment, and judgment, I think in this scenario, is kind of a neutral term. It's not that I'm trying to criticize myself. It's not that I'm trying to praise myself. It's kind of just detect and identify what is it that I'm noticing at this moment. It's a fact stating that, let's say, my shoulders are actually quite relaxed, but my cheeks are up and my jaws are a little bit tightened because I was trying to pay attention. I think it's just collecting facts by observing the body without processing them or without trying to attach any meaning to it. I feel like that's what I'm getting out of the exercise. And
Very good.
what's the purpose of this exercise?
It's a good question. What's the purpose of this exercise? So, if you have an antenna, it has to be there to receive signal. If it's not there, it cannot receive signal. Doesn't matter how good it is. So we are building an antenna to be there and then, to be here and now. So this exercise, like you said, just to observe, is always bring your mind to the present moment. So prompting you to observe portion of your body, part of your body, is like a training wheel to bring your mind here and now here and now here and now here. So when your mind get trained to be able to come into the present moment, and then you'll be able to receive signals.
And what I like about this exercise is also reminding me that I have many body parts. It's not just, well, obviously, all starts with the heart, all starts with the nose, because we have to breathe, our hearts has to beat. But there are so many other things that can tell me or can help me feel what I am feeling in a moment, in a situation, in whatever, that I might be a little bit confused, that my mind and body are trying to connect, but they're not yet synced. So what are some of the things I can rely on my body, because that's the first reactor to a lot of situations? What are some of the exercises, like you said, going from maybe top to bottom, maybe limbs to the torso. It
Yeah,
depends on how well we train, and it's an extra layer to help us understand what is going on. And it's not to analyze why is it happening.
exactly. So the power of being an observer is taking your mind to the here and now and taking your mind away from judgment, away from any sort of judgment. Here, judgment, like you said, it's not about analyzing it. It's even about whether I should be doing this or should be like that. Because those are everything your mind says, let me compare now and some other scenario. Once you compare, it's a judgment.
Interesting. Once you compare, it is a judgment. It is, because our mind is trying to get into the wheel of understanding, what is it that my body is trying to tell me? And once we start analyzing ourselves, we know that's that's like the rabbit hole we were easily falling into, and it's hard to climb out of. I wonder if there are exceptions. If there is any exceptional situation where the bodily sensations are telling us that we should run. Let's say we face danger and our body freeze. At that moment, maybe I didn't have the time to detect what's going on. I may just need to react. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What should I do with it? If, obviously we want to keep ourselves safe. And when that happens, what are some of the tactics that might be different than in all other normal situations that we may have the time to process what our body is trying to tell us?
It's a very good question. So our body is programmed by being in a survival mode. So right now, it's not about tiger running after us. Right now, it's about work. It's about deadline. It's about, I need to do this in order to get my future planned, right? All these are a type of stress similar in our brain respond to external events. So our body will be in the same sort of situation, it produces cortisol, the stress hormone, even if you're not running by a tiger after a tiger is not running after you, but your body will create such sensations. Like if you need to deliver a report tomorrow morning, tonight you'll be stressed out of working on the results. It's nature, but you won't die if you don't do it.
I won't die, but I may die ugly in that meeting if the presentation didn't go so well. So,
okay, it's a good point. You have a good reason to be stressed. However, does that stress bring up your productivity? No. Therefore, before you react to the stress, you can do a small exercise. I highly recommend you do meditation, which actually will bring up your productivity. Why? Because when your mind is not full of self-talk or full of chatters, then you can actually do your work much more productively. You can think more clearly. So even with the same deadline you have tomorrow, with stress, your work has less quality. But if you try to practice and take away the stress, you can bring better quality work for the same deadline.
Because the stress will be there. The deadline is not going to change. The stress is maybe just an external fact.
You
And
can manage your stress.
yes, and feeling stressful is an emotion that we react to the situation. And I like that how our body and mind can be connected in a way that, just like you mentioned, using the meditation. And I always laugh that what's meditation? It's just close your eyes, try not to fall asleep. And if we actually bring the early exercise into the meditation, or maybe ask the whole point of meditation at that point when we're feeling stressed, close the eyes for 1 minute, sensing from head to toe, what is it that I'm feeling right now, without thinking about, and I think that's the hardest part, like without thinking about and being pressured about, why am I doing this? Well, I could have spent the time working on the presentation so that I don't have to feel stressed. I think that's the hardest part, to take out the noise and just focus on, what is it I'm feeling right this moment? My body may be shaking. I may be like really clenching my teeth, but once I detect that, it would help me to understand what is going on. And then I will leave it to my mind to program to the next step, which is, okay, now I know why I'm feeling this way. It's not going to change. Maybe let's just focus on work. My body, it's okay to still feel this way, but now that I'm aware where this is coming from, it may take away part of the pressure. And I'm not sure if that's the whole point of meditation can bring to us at stressful moments like this, facing deadlines. And is that the whole point, to just clear out the noises in our own heads, in our own self-talks, take out all the judgment that we have ourselves, all the pressures that we feel from the scenario, from the environment, and just focus on ourselves. And that at that moment, we're trying to be selfish in a way, that we're not worrying about being pressured by the boss tomorrow. We're not feeling pressured by ourselves, not being able to deliver. It's more like selfish on, my body is under attack.
It's not selfish. Why? Because by doing this meditation, you actually will deliver better results. You actually will perform better. Keep that in mind. It's not about, oh, I'm going to slack off. I'm not going to not deliver. Those are your perceived danger. And this is why using meditation will take away your perceived danger, because they're not the actual danger.
Perceived danger.
Perceived danger.
Not the actual danger.
Therefore, when you do your meditation, when you can clear out or make your body more relaxed, you can perform better. Remember, okay, imagine this scenario. We've seen all these in the TVs, movies. When someone's running, trying to open the door of a car or building because someone is chasing them, the key gets dropped and the key cannot open. Why? All because they're nervous, they're stressed. And if you're really calm, you insert the key, I'm sure one chance it will open.
And that will take a lot of training to focus on that one thing without, even though there might be a real tiger chasing after you at that moment, it's all perceived because the tiger hasn't attacked yet. You have not been hurt. You're just doing that's one thing to open the door, just like you always do when there is no tiger chasing. And I think it will take a lot of training. It will take a lot of practice. But going back to the earlier point is that notice what is going on. Notice what the body is trying to help you understand. So listen to the body as a first step. And you also mentioned the somatics that may, just like when you're feeling depressed, how move the body a little bit, maybe go running, maybe go sit up, go walk a little bit will help. So in scenarios when we're easily feeling stressed, let's say I'm sitting in front of my computer, I read a very angry email from, could be anyone, could be a customer. What are some of the immediate things I can do after? Maybe I take a moment to say, oh, I could feel my heart rate is raising. I could feel I'm trying to scream. Everything clenches. What are some of the immediate comforting things I can do without moving my body a lot to calm myself down?
It's a very good question. So there are a couple of methods. One is a releasing method. So especially it's for anger. When we're angry, we want to shout. We want to release something out of our body. So you can actually shout. If you have a safe space, you can actually shout. Okay? Or you can release your body like that. And we can use our breath. So focus on the exhale, do sharp exhale, like that, a few times. When you're very angry, you just do this releases the tightness in your body, sensations outwards. Because when you're in the extreme anger, asking you to do, just slow breathing, not possible. We need to understand our body, how it stores energy. This is a little more, I would say, in the energy wise, because everything is energy in different forms. Anger is a certain frequency of energy. Calmness, love, joy, they're all different frequencies of energy. So we can manage our feelings, emotions by managing the energies in our body.
We can manage our emotions by managing our energy through managing our body. And it's fascinating to hear when we're angry, when our body's all tightened up and we want to release. And obviously we need to be in a safe place to do so.
Yes.
We can release and we should release. It's kind of succumb or surrender a little. It sounds like we're surrendering ourselves a little bit, surrendering to the needs that our body asks for at that moment, to just to shout, to yell, to maybe don't throw things around. Just use our body, the breathe that we can do, maybe the punches in the air that we can do, so that it surrenders to what the body needs at that moment rather than fighting it.
And then after that, you can try to use a few slow breaths to calm yourself down. So there is two-step process. One is releasing that energy out, and then you bring the calmness into by using the slow breath. So the anger associated with the sympathetic nervous system, which is under extreme stress. And then after releasing that extreme, the intense stress by out breath, and then you use a different breathing mechanism to bring your body again to the calmness by slow breathing. So once you do slow breathing, there are also different types of slow breathing. It can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which makes your mind and the body calm. And in general, when you're feeling satisfied after food, or even any other type of satisfaction, this is when the parasympathetic nervous system is active. When you are feeling safe, you're not fighting tiger. When you are feeling secure, so that you can relax, your body can relax, and your mind can relax. But if we can manage our autonomic nervous system so that we can have it on demand, how magical is that?
Have our body on demand, having everything prepared. I have it feels like there is essentially a switch that can be on and off just by regulating our body, starting with understanding it first.
Yes.
That's all what bodily sensations are important. And it's something to explore, just starting by the simple exercise we tried earlier. That's, I think, a small step. I'm sure there are more practices that I'm curious about at this moment, and we can dive deeper later on. And I wonder, maybe in the next few episodes, we can go into kind of like real life scenarios. Like, we all play different roles in our lives. We're at work, we're, in a relationship, we're dancers. We go out and socialize and hang out with people in real life scenarios. How sensing the body sensations will help us, and what are some of the additional, small little exercise that we can do when we are actually outside facing people, we're not really in a safe environment. What are some of the things that we can do? What are some of the bodily sensations we should pay attention to, so that it help us understand ourselves better, so that we will have the space and presence for others to listen and to be with them better. Doesn't matter if they're coworkers, they're friends, they're partners. I think today's conversation really sets a good foundations to explore further into different scenarios. And I'm wondering, what if there is one big takeaway you want whoever is listening, including myself, to walk away with, what would that be?
So thank you for the question. If there's only one exercise you can do every day, it's safe everywhere except when you're driving, is to do the mindfulness of breath. Because you live, you breathe, right? You can stand, you can sit in the meeting, you can breathe, but just take a few breaths, be aware of the breath. Like when you inhale, just detect the sensations in your nostrils, back of your throat, and your chest and your belly. All those are just a few points for you to pay attention to. Why we do this? It's to bring your mind to the present moment. And this is the most essential training of all, is to bring your mind to the moment of now. Because your body always live in the moment of now. Your body don't live anywhere else. So your mind has to align with your body. But your mind goes somewhere else. That's the alignment we need to train. Align the body to the mind. Align the mind to the body. by using this most simple awareness of breath meditation. It doesn't have to take long. And of course, in other environments, you can sit, do the Vipassana meditation, which is quiet meditation. Breath is part of it. It's a one part of it. And body scan is also the other part of it. And you can do any other type of meditation. For example, when you're eating, you can do eating meditation, which means you're just paying attention to the sensations in the mouth, the sensations, the texture of the food you're eating, the temperature. So everything around what you're doing at the moment, when you pay attention at that moment, it's called meditation. So as dancing, we're tango dancers. When we dance, if we can bring our mind to the body, our body was dancing regardless, right? We're on the floor, we're moving, but our mind can go somewhere else, says, oh, I don't like this embrace. Oh, I don't like the smell. Oh, maybe next song will be better than this song. Our mind goes everywhere, but not here. But if our mind can surrender to the moment, even if the leader, let's say I'm a follower, I'm dancing with a leader who are not on the beat, who are not listening to the music same way as I am, because we often can be different. But if I say, let me bring my mind back to my body, which is following his lead, guess what happens? We're together. We're not fighting. But if my mind keeps thinking, oh my God, he's not dancing this note, he's not dancing on piano, he's not dancing on violin, oh, I missed all these opportunities to express my musicality. Oh, I'm not dancing with him. My mind is somewhere else. My body is suffering, struggling, right? So the dance becomes not such a good quality. And guess what? When I'm off the dance floor, I will say, he's not a good leader. But that is a perceived value of the dancer. It's not the real value of the dancer. You look at the judgment, the conclusion, that we create an experience based on our thoughts, not based on facts. That's all because our mind is somewhere else. And I had some most wonderful tandas with beginners, with people who I've never met. I'm totally surrendered into the moment, no judgment, first time dancing. And it was so good because I'm totally present. We're completely together. What's the best definition of tango? It takes two to tango. The two has to be together, have to be together. And so that's when the tango bliss happens, when you're together.
When the mind and body is aligned. And I think that's a whole different topic in terms of, well, I'm sure for those who are listening, they will all have experienced moments of togetherness, and that can be interpreted in many ways. And I think going back to mindfulness is more, it's less about, as I'm hearing and as I feel myself, is less about aligning with others, but more aligning with yourself so that you quiet yourself down to be able to perceive more. I think that's overall how meditation does and mindfulness brings to our life, is to reduce the noise as much as you can within yourself so that you will be able to open up more space, free up more storage, just as you do to your computers from time to time, that you will be able to perceive more. Maybe things will look at differently. I think that to me is the biggest takeaway from the two conversations that we have so far, is really to reduce the noise, to take away the judgment, to take a moment and give it back to yourself, to your mind, to your body, respect what is happening. And I think all those great exercises that you've mentioned, the breathe, the detecting of the body, is a gift that we can give back to ourselves, give back time and attention to ourselves, rather than worrying about all others, worrying about what's going on in the other world, so that we'll be able to just be. I think that is my biggest takeaway. And thank you for reminding us all that aligning the mind and aligning the body together is first to achieve togetherness within oneself. Thank you,
Well
Mary.
said. Thank you, Kat. Really, it's my pleasure to share all this.
And it's a pleasure to listen as always. And stay tuned for our next episode, because we may touch some very interesting topics just as we continue the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, try to click the subscribe button, like the video, and share. The most important for me is to share, because I don't want to be just happy alone, you know?
You won't be happy alone. Happiness is contagious, and that's proven scientific study. So share your comments, share your feedback. We'd like to know what's troubling you, what's stressing you out. What are some of the things you have tried, whether those exercises that we've shared are helpful. So let us know. And until next time.
See you next time.
Mindfulness with Mary.
Mindfulness with me. Bye-bye.
Bye.